So you will find out, guys, when you buy a home or a condo, everybody that buys real estate pays something called land transfer tax. And it's the person, pay attention now, it's the person buying that pays this. I had no idea this was the case until I bought my house. And it's a couple $1,000 if you're looking at into like $200,000-300,000 homes. You're going to realize that it's very expensive. So every time properties are being purchased, land transfer tax comes in. So the government makes money on that. Okay, surprise, surprise, right? And just so you know, the land transfer tax is a one-time cost. One time. It only happens when you purchase. Are you awake for this one? Because property tax is ongoing. As long as you own, you're going to pay property taxes. Land transfer tax is only a one-time thing. It's literally just to change the name on the title to your name. For that service, a couple $1,000. Thank you very much, right? And so don't mix them up, okay? So land transfer tax, you pay that to the Manitoba Land Titles Office. It is paid when the owner of the property changes. The Manitoba government collects this as revenue. The lawyer hired to do your transaction will ensure that this money gets transferred. So the lawyers do this on the background. Home buyers have to be aware of this cost, as it's a large one-time cost required before possessions of newly purchased homes. And this is where it gets complicated. I'm certain that they have to get rid of this pretty soon. Like it's already old. It's an old system. But the first $200,000 of the value of a home is taxed according to this scale here. Okay? It's not just a flat rate. It's taxed incrementally, as you can see in this table. Okay? And I will say this. On the first $30,000 of property, there's zero land transfer tax, 0%. So it's just zero as a decimal, right? The province, just so you know, the province will give you this table every time there's land transfer tax to be calculated, but they will not give you the decimal. So this is me adding that, okay? On the next $60,000 of your property, you pay 0.5%. 0.5%, if you divide that by 100, is 0.0005, okay? You need to understand that it's not just 0.05, it's 0.005. 1% is 0.01. So first 30,000, you don't pay a dime. The next 60,000 of your property, you'll pay 0.5%. The next 60, you pay 1%. The next 50,000, you pay 1.5%, which is 0.015. And here's where it gets interesting. Any excess of 200,000, you pay a flat 2%, which is 0.02. And just so you understand, if you were to add up, okay, on the side here, on the left side, if you add up 30 and 60, that's 90,000. Plus another 60, that's 150,000. Plus another 50, that's 200,000. So on the first 200K, right, sorry, that's what I wrote here. On the first 200K, you have to abide by this tier. Anything excess means anything over 200,000, you pay 2% flat. Guys, this is exactly how the province calculates this. This is exactly how they do it. There's no gray area. There's no like, this is sort of how they do it. This is exactly how they do it. Okay, so you can actually tell if maybe your parents are in the process of buying a house, you can tell them, I can figure out the land transfer tax for you. Just give me a moment, right? So this is where I have this here for you. So the first 30,000 is right here. you pay 0%. On the next 60,000, like so, anything from here, so you could be paying 40,000, 50,000, so forth, all the way to 90,000. That's the next one. I'm going to use green, sorry, just to match my notes. I'm going to mix it up if I don't. Okay, so on the next 60,000, you pay, so just imagine there's $90,000 worth of money that you're spending on a property, but the first 30 don't pay anything, the next 60 pay some, okay? 0.005. Again, I'm going to do that at the same time. The next 60,000, I'm going to use pink for this one. That's the next chunk. You pay 1% on that. And that's 0.01. And the last but not least, right, this chunk right here, the next 50,000. That's the next 50, you pay 1.5%. There it is. 0.015. Okay, so that's the 200,000. These chunks combine to 200,000. Anything excess pays 2% flat. Okay? And that's, you're going to notice, guys, that this chunk here is the expensive chunk. The first 200,000, which very few houses are less than 200,000. Most houses are over 200,000. This is where it starts getting expensive, right here, this last chunk. Okay? So let's do a question together. I have a system. If you do this system, it'll work every time. Some of you are going to watch me do 2 or 3, and you're going to be like, that's a waste of time. I can do it faster. You do you. Make sure you just don't mix it up and don't find a quick way and then make a mistake later on. I don't need you to do it exactly the way I do it, but this is the fail-safe way to do it. So here we go. Just so we don't mix things up, I'm going to do this quickly on the side here. On the first 30K, I pay 0%. On the next 60K, I pay 0.005. On the next 60,000, I pay 0.01. That's 1%. On the next 50K, I pay 0.015. Leftover, I'm going to call it leftover. How's that? Leftover 2%. That's basically the idea behind my method. I'm going to follow this. This is my shortcut. Okay. Basically, I start with 385. You look at that number, you can tell right away that this is over 200,000, correct? We're going to max out all of these tiers, and then we're going to be over yet by a little bit. Actually, 185,000 over the 200,000 mark. Just keep that in mind in the back of your heads. So let's subtract 30,000 from this. You pay $0 on that. Let's just go ahead and say we're not paying anything on that. Have your calculators ready for this one. But now you're down to 355. Can you subtract the next tier? Yes, so we're going to go ahead and subtract the next tier. This tier, we're paying at the entire $60,000 in this tier, gets multiplied by 0.005 equals. We're not going to do the math yet. We're coming back to it. Let's subtract 355 minus 60,000. That's 295,000. We can keep subtracting the next tier from it, the next 60,000. So let's do that. We're going to pay the full 1% on that entire 60,000. We're gonna color code it later, okay? Just follow me for now. 295 minus 60,000. That means that there's 235,000 that still needs to be taxed. So I'm going to do a little check mark. I subtracted that, I subtracted that, I subtracted that. So there's 30, 60, 60 every time. The next is 50,000. So you're going to go minus 50,000. That would be 185,000 left. Oh, sorry, I forgot. The 50,000 gets taxed 1.5%. So this is where a lot of students get it wrong. So we went through all of these 4 tiers, correct? And then there's something left over. This is left over. That total, that whatever is left, gets taxed 2% flat. Okay, so whenever if you make it through all the 4 tiers and you have some money left over, 2% flat, okay? That entire leftover amount. So grab your calculators and we'll calculate all the chunks now. Someone is angry. 60,000, that's the wind, by the way. So I'm going to the top here. I go 60,000 times 0.005. You would only pay 300 bucks. Like, it's not a whole lot right now, okay? The next 60,000, a percent of 60,000, you can do your math if you want, or you can just know it's $600, right? I don't think we're surprised by that. So far, if you bought a house that was worth 150,000, because 30, 60, and 60, you would only pay $900 in taxes right now. Let's keep going. The 50,000 times 0.015. You'll memorize some of these numbers if you do them enough. You'll pay $750 for that chunk. Not too bad so far, if you ask me. But now let's do the leftover amount. 185,000 times 0.02. Look at that. That's why the city, any city, wants the value of the houses to go up, right? Because they get to cash in more. The more expensive a house, the more land transfer taxes are. Can you imagine winning like those houses that the lottery has, like $1 million home, and paying the land transfer taxes on that? You'd probably be broke before you even start living in the home, right? So now we're ready to answer the question. Land transfer tax for this particular purchase would be, I know the zero is irrelevant. I'm just going to add it on there anyways. You add all of these chunks that we figured out. You add them all up. And then you come up with your final amount. So if you're planning on buying a house that's worth $385,000, guys, you will pay this much on land transfer tax. So just letting you know, it's something nobody talks about, but it is a thing. Okay, it is a thing. Whether it's a condominium, it's a house, it doesn't matter. If you purchase, you pay. Okay? You don't get away from that. So this is an amount that went over 200,000. But what if we stop? What if we have to stop somewhere in between? Because some houses are not that expensive. Let's go over to 56 here. And I'll do one more, and then I want you to try it. Okay? And I have this line that I've created here for you to have a reference. Calculate the land transfer tax amount for purchasing a home, 135,000. I feel like I need to do this one more time. 30, 60, 60, 50. You pay 0 for that. You pay 0.005, 0.01, 0.015. Let's do this quick. It doesn't hurt. Over, it's 0.02. You will have that on your study sheet, but I will also give you this every time. The province will give you that table every time. So let's do this. 135 is the value of the home. It doesn't matter if there's a down payment, whatever, you take the value of the home. That's what the city cares about. Take away 30 grand. You don't pay a dime on the first 30, so just put $0 right next to it. You're down to 105,000. Can you subtract the next tier from it? Yes, there's enough to take away here. We pay 0.005. $105 minus 60, you're down to 45,000. Here's where it gets tricky. Can you subtract the next, can you subtract 60,000 from that? No, right? And remember, you're now down to this third tier. What you do is you don't subtract, you just multiply whatever you have left over here by that. So you go, this is in that tier and therefore pays 1% tax. Okay, so it's almost like when you no longer are able to subtract, you stop, and then you multiply it by whatever tier you were in at that point. So this is 450. This is 300. How do you know, Mr. Erickson? Because I've done this 1,000 times. Okay, I just remember these things already. If you're not sure, just figure this out. So land transfer tax would be 0 plus 300 plus 450. No, you don't have to add the 0 in your work. Okay, I'm not going to require you to do that. That's $750. That's it. So there used to be a time, like my parents bought a house for $120,000. Their land transfer tax it was a joke, right? It's like $700 here, right? But now that the houses are going up like crazy, now we're always looking at thousands of dollars when you're buying a home, on top of everything that comes with owning a home already. So times have changed. I think they need to update that table to like make the tiers bigger and still keep these percentages, but this should be probably the first 100,000, then the next 100,000, the next 100,000, next 50,000 or something like that. They need to widen those tiers again to make it a bit more affordable. Whether or not they're going to do it, that's out of my league, okay? Can you try these two here? I will give you the answer, just the final answer. You're supposed to get 1,500 on this one, and you're supposed to get 2,150 for this one. Okay, so two different examples. Give it a try. I will walk around. I wanna have a sense of, do I need to explain a bit more? But I'm quite confident that you can score quite a few marks already just as this after these two examples, okay? All right. No matter how confident or how good you think you are, you should practice. And the Sage Creek $1.6 million home, I will put that up soon as well. I want you to calculate the insurance and the land transfer tax, which is gonna blow your minds. Just paying the bills is gonna be enough to declare bankruptcy. So I wouldn't be surprised if most people that win that house sell it right away. They just can't handle the bills. Like property taxes, insurance, it's all crazy high. Yeah.
You don't have to do that with, especially with the so here, you would want to take away 30, right? Because the first 30 of that year market tax, only 6,450 you pay government with 0.5. So that I would want you to show me that you're, oh, okay. You always have to still subtract. You know, I would say that's the safest way to do it.
I will.